Welcome back to another episode of the Sports Playbook, where I'll give you a breakdown of what's been happening in the world of sport over the last 7 days. You're joined by your host Demos. This is the last weekly episode for a few weeks, so without further ado, let's get right into it. In cricket, Glenn Maxwell stars as Australia wins the T20 series against South Africa. The Big Show, as he's more affectionately known, has proved once again why he's one of the premier T20 cricket players in the world. South Africa, they batted first and set a total of 173. Australia got off to a solid start thanks to Mitch Marsh hitting 54 of 37 balls. But for the Aussies, there was a middle order collapse, 4 wickets falling for 37 runs, and the final 3 overs, Australia needed 27 of 18 balls. But once again, Glenn Maxwell stood up for his country and he batted Australia home, hitting 62 of 36 balls. There were 8 fours and there were 2 sixes in that innings. Australia won by 2 wickets with 2 balls remaining. In Rugby Union, the Wallabies break a 62-year drought to defeat South Africa. In Ellis Park in Johannesburg, the Wallabies, who were fresh off a final test win against the Lions, had something to prove. Early in the first half, South Africa got off to a fantastic start, leading 22-0 only 25 minutes into the game. The Wallabies, they overcame this deficit and the Springboks did not score again in this match. The Wallabies went on to win the game 38-22, and this is the first time that the Wallabies have won at Ellis Park in Johannesburg since 1963. Do you want to guess who the Prime Minister was at that time? It was Robert Menzies. That's how far back it is. But for the Wallabies, this win did not come without consequences. Captain Harry Wilson went off with a suspected ACL injury, and winger Dylan Pastek has a suspected broken jaw. In the other Rugby Championship game, the All Blacks defeated Argentina 41-24, which means the All Blacks are leading the Rugby Championship in first place and the Wallabies are in second place in this 6-week tournament. The second week, it kicks off again on Sunday the 24th of August with a rematch for both sides. South Africa will get their chance at redemption against the Wallabies and Argentina will go up against the All Blacks. In basketball, the Boomers have beat China to win another Asian Cup. That's right, the Boomers have won their 3rd straight Asian Cup final, going up against China in Jeddah. Boomers player Xavier Cooks, well, he was cooking throughout this game. That's a terrible pun, Daniel. Anyway, we'll carry on. He scored 30 points within the match and he was named MVP. It couldn't have been a tighter finish to the match, with China having the chance to win the game with the final shot on the buzzer, but it missed, and the Boomers held on to win 90-89, a 1-point margin. In netball, Steph Fretwell announces her retirement from professional netball. After playing 11 years of professional netball and over 157 elite games across the New South Wales Swifts and the Sunshine Coast Lightning, Fretwell has earned a well-deserved break. For Fretwell, she started her career at the New South Wales Swifts for 2 seasons before she became the number 1 signing at the Sunshine Coast Lightning, continuing her career for another 9 years at the club. For Fretwell, she's had some incredible achievements throughout her career, including 2 premierships at the Sunshine Coast Lightning and playing for the Australian Diamonds. Fretwell debuted back in 2016, and since that point, Fretwell has represented her country 56 times. For Steph, she's won every gold medal that there is within the international netball scene, including the Netball World Cup, the Commonwealth Games, and the Constellation Cup. Congratulations, Steph, on an illustrious career. You deserve everything that you have achieved. In the NRL, the West Tigers end the Sea Eagles' final chances. The Tigers, well, they put the final nail in the coffin for the Manly Sea Eagles season, defeating them on Sunday afternoon 26-12. For the Tigers, it's quite exciting. They are finding form late throughout the season, and that's their 9th win of the year. For Manly, this weekend, Daly Cherry Evans will play his 350th career game for the club. In other games, Harry Grant scored a golden point try to defeat the Panthers 22-18. The Warriors defeated the Dragons 14-10 in New Zealand. But another big game, the Broncos defeated the Dolphins, their crosstown rivals, without their main halves pairing of Ezra Mam and Adam Reynolds. They still won 38-28. With 3 rounds to go in the regular season, the bottom part of the top 8 is getting congested in the run home to the finals. One loss and you could be out of the top 8 and your finals chances are done. In the AFL, the Adelaide Crows break a 9-year drought to defeat Collingwood. The Crows, in front of a packed-out Adelaide Oval, went up against Collingwood and defeated them by 3 points, 59-56, in a classic game of AFL. In a top 8 clash between the Fremantle Dockers and the Brisbane Lions, Fremantle honoured retiring star Nat Fyfe, who potentially played his last home game for the Fremantle Dockers. But for the Lions, they had other ideas about Nat Fyfe's send-off. They defeated the Dockers by 57 points in a thumping. For Fremantle, they have to win their final game against the Western Bulldogs, otherwise they are out of season 2025. The Giants? Well, there's a big South. That's right, those ones. They defeated the Gold Coast Suns by 35 points to help their stakes in the finals games. With 1 round to go in the regular season, from 4th to 9th is separated by 1 win, which is 4 points. It's going to be very interesting to see the end of this season. In AFLW, round 1 kicks off and Chloe Molloy stars. The season kicked off with a classic rivalry, Carlton going up against Collingwood, with Carlton getting the chocolates, defeating Collingwood by 24 points. For the Sydney Swans, they went up against the Richmond Tigers on Friday night. Chloe Molloy returned from a knee reconstruction, which only saw her play 1 game last year. Molloy, on her return, kicked 4 goals for the Sydney Swans as they won against Richmond by 20 points. In the other games, Essendon thumped the GWS Giants by 56 points. And the Melbourne Demons, they put away the Western Bulldogs by 48 points. And in NRLW, 3 players made history last weekend, notching up their 50th games. For Ali Brigginshaw from the Broncos, Keely Davis and Isabel Kelly from the Sydney Roosters, they were the first 3 women to hit 50 games in the NRLW competition. The NRLW competition started back in 2018, and all 3 of these women have featured in every season throughout the NRLW. For the Broncos, they celebrated their milestone player, defeating the Eels 38-4. And much the same for the Sydney Roosters. They celebrated their milestone players, defeating the Newcastle Knights by 30 points to 14 in a top 3 clash. For the Roosters, they continue to lead the NRLW competition, followed by the Brisbane Broncos, the Newcastle Knights, and the Cowboys, rounding out the top 4. And with that, we will take a short break, and after, get into your burning rubber breakdown. It's time for the burning rubber breakdown. Let's burn it up. In Supercars, Craig Lowndes has signed to Team 18 for 2026. On a 2-year deal, Craig Lowndes has announced that he's moving from Triple Eight Race Engineering to Team 18 as Team 18 become the Chevrolet homologation team. It comes as Triple Eight Race Engineering announced at the start of the year they'll move from Chevrolet to Ford from 2026. For Triple Eight Race Engineering and Craig Lowndes, this will end a 21-year partnership that started back in 2005. It will come to an end at this year's Bathurst 1000, which is Craig Lowndes' 32nd start, equaling the late great Peter Brock, but it's not the most amount of consecutive starts. That record is held by Jim Richards, who has 35 Bathurst 1000 starts. That is your burning rubber breakdown for the week. And now it's time to get into our fast fact for a pub chat. It's time to pull up a chair and pour yourself a drink. It's this week's fast fact for a pub chat. This week's fast fact comes from the world of Formula One, and in particular, it's Lewis Hamilton. It's no secret that Lewis Hamilton has had a hard start to his life at Ferrari. However, there is a stat that's creeping up on him. Lewis is only 5 races away from an unwanted record. The record is the longest wait without a Grand Prix podium for Ferrari. The longest record is 19 races. Lewis is sitting on 14 at the moment. Let's hope that Lewis doesn't break this record and he can get his first podium of season 2025. That is your fast fact for a pub chat. And now it's time to get into our playbook planner. Here are some games to look forward to this weekend. In the NRL, it's the Panthers taking on the Raiders on Friday, the 22nd of August from 6 p.m, and you can catch it only on KO. In the AFLW, the Melbourne Demons will take on St Kilda in a top 4 clash. This is on Saturday, the 23rd of August from 3:05 p.m, and you can catch it only on KO. And in Rugby Union, the Wallabies will go up against South Africa in another huge rugby championship test. This is on Sunday, the 24th of August. I suggest you get your pillows out because the game starts at 1:10 a.m, Australian Eastern Daylight Saving Time. You can catch it only on Stan Sport. In the NRLW, it's a battle of the top 3. It's the Knights taking on the Broncos on Sunday, the 24th of August from 11:50 a.m. You can catch the game on 9Now and on KO Sports. And finally, in the AFL, it's a do or die clash. It's the Western Bulldogs taking on the Fremantle Dockers on Sunday, the 24th of August. Whoever wins is in the final series. Whoever loses is out. The game starts at 3:15 p.m, and you can catch it only on KO Sports. And with that, we have come to the end of today's show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Both my partner Jenna and I will be heading to Europe for 4 weeks, so there won't be any weekly episodes. However, we do have athlete stories and the return of a moment from the archive series. I really hope you enjoy these episodes, but I'll be back at the end of September with all your new sports stories, news, and everything in between. I hope you've been enjoying the weekly episodes. Don't worry, we'll be back, and I'll catch you on the next play.